partner sleeps next to someone else. The streets of Sydney were alive with Christmas cheer, but Olivia felt none of it. She sat alone in her childhood bedroom, listening to the faint sound of carolers through the window, and stared at her phone. Messages from her boyfriend Adrian flashed on the screen, but she ignored them. Her heart ached, and tears blurred her vision as she scrolled through their recent text exchange. The fight had been nasty, just one more in a series that seemed to define their 6-month relationship. Olivia, 25, had been drawn to Adrian's charm and warmth when they first met. He was 24, with a magnetic smile and an infectious laugh that had swept her off her feet. They were in love, or at least Olivia thought so. But from the very beginning, something had cast a shadow over their budding romance. Adrian's unusually close relationship with his roommate and best friend, Claire. Adrian and Claire had known each other for years. They shared a comfortable 3-bedroom house in the suburbs, but Olivia quickly noticed that they rarely used separate rooms. Most nights they slept in the same bed. "It's no big deal," Adrian told her when she brought it up. "We're just friends. Besides, she's straight and you know I'm gay." But no matter how much Adrian tried to reassure her, Olivia couldn't shake the uneasy feeling. She'd been cheated on before and it left her cautious, maybe too cautious. Still, this didn't feel like just paranoia. Claire's actions didn't seem like what friends would do. The first time Olivia visited their house, Claire had been cold and barely talked to her. A few weeks later, at a concert, Claire's emotions came out in the open. She cried, held onto Adrian, and even kissed his neck in a way that made Olivia feel uncomfortable. "She's just emotional," Adrian said when Olivia asked him about it later. "You're making a big deal out of nothing?" Then came the shock. Adrian told her that he and Claire had slept together just weeks before he started dating Olivia. He said it was a drunken mistake and only happened once. But for Olivia it made things worse. She couldn't understand why Adrian would still share a bed with someone he'd been with, even if it was in the past. Olivia tried to be understanding. She wanted to trust Adrian, but every time she brought it up, he dismissed her feelings. "You're being controlling," he said. "Claire is my best friend, and I'm not going to stop being close to her just because you're insecure." The final straw came on Christmas Eve. Adrian had confessed that after another argument about Claire, he'd spent the past 2 nights sleeping in her bed. Olivia felt as though the floor had been ripped out from under her. She'd begged him to at least limit their shared nights to once a month, but even that compromise seemed too much for him. Now, on Christmas morning, Olivia stared at the blinking notifications on her phone. Adrian's messages ranged from apologetic to defensive. "I love you," one read. "But I can't change who I am." Another, "Why are you making this such a big deal? Claire means nothing to me romantically." Olivia sighed and set the phone down. She'd blocked Adrian last night to give herself space, but the gnawing anxiety in her chest refused to ease. Was she being irrational? Or was this relationship doomed to fail? Later that day, Olivia decided to take a walk. The crisp summer air was a welcome relief from the suffocating tension of her room. As she wandered through the bustling streets, memories of her time with Adrian played in her mind. Their first date at a quirky cafe, late-night phone calls filled with laughter, the way his eyes lit up when he talked about his dreams. But those moments of joy were now clouded by doubt and hurt. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, breaking her reverie. It was a call from Mia, her best friend and confidant. "Hey Liv," Mia said, her voice warm and concerned. "I've been thinking about you. How are you holding up?" Olivia hesitated before responding. "Not great," she admitted. "Adrian and I had another fight. I don't know if I can keep doing this. Do you want to talk about it?" Mia asked gently. Over the next hour, Olivia poured out her heart. She told Mia everything, about Claire, the shared bed, the past intimacy, and her constant feeling of being sidelined. "Liv, I'm going to be honest," Mia said when Olivia finally finished. "You're not being irrational. Your feelings are valid. Adrian might not mean to hurt you, but he's not respecting your boundaries. A healthy relationship is about compromise and understanding, and it doesn't sound like he's willing to meet you halfway." Olivia's eyes filled with tears. Hearing someone else validate her feelings was a relief, but it also deepened her sadness. "I just want to be enough for him," she whispered. "You are enough," Mia said firmly. "But sometimes, love isn't enough to make a relationship work. You deserve someone who makes you feel secure and cherished, not someone who makes you question your worth." That evening, Olivia sat down with a notebook and pen. She needed to untangle the mess of emotions swirling in her mind. She began writing a list of what she wanted in a relationship. 1. Trust and honesty. 2. Respect for boundaries. 3. Mutual effort and compromise. for emotional support and understanding. As she stared at the list, a painful truth settled in her heart. Adrian, despite his many wonderful qualities, wasn't giving her what she needed. She loved him, but love alone couldn't bridge the gap between them. With a heavy heart, Olivia picked up her phone and unblocked Adrian. She typed out a message, her fingers trembling. Olivia says, "Hey Adrian. I think we need to talk. Can we meet tomorrow?" His response came quickly. Adrian replied to Olivia, "Of course. I'm sorry for everything, Liv. I love you." The next day they met at a quiet park. Adrian looked anxious, his usual confident demeanor replaced by unease. Olivia took a deep breath and began. "Adrian, I love you," she said. "But I've been thinking a lot about us and I don't think this is working. I've tried to be okay with your relationship with Claire, but it's hurting me. I need to feel secure in a relationship and right now, I don't." Adrian's eyes widened. "Liv, no. We can fix this. I'll try harder, I promise." "I believe you want to," Olivia said softly. "But I've realized that I've been compromising too much of myself to make this work. And I can't keep doing that." Adrian's shoulders slumped. "I don't want to lose you." "I don't want to lose you either," Olivia said, tears streaming down her face. "But sometimes the best thing we can do for ourselves and each other is let go." In the weeks that followed, Olivia threw herself into self-care and reconnecting with her passions. She spent time with friends, explored new hobbies, and began therapy to work through her lingering insecurities. It wasn't easy, but day by day she started to feel stronger. Adrian reached out a few times, but Olivia gently told him she needed space. She hoped he'd reflect on their relationship and grow from the experience, just as she was trying to do. Months later, as the autumn leaves began to fall, Olivia found herself smiling more often. She'd learned that love wasn't just about finding someone to share her life with, it was also about learning to love and respect herself. And one day she knew she'd find a partner who would do the same. Story 2. A 28-year-old woman have feelings for my roommate 27-year-old man. I'm Charlotte, a 28-year-old woman, and I've been living with my 27-year-old roommate, Liam, for 2 years. What started as a simple coexistence has evolved into something much more complicated and wonderful than I ever expected. Let's start from the beginning. A little over 2 years ago, I moved to the city for work. I needed an apartment immediately as rent was astronomically high. I found Liam's ad online. He was looking for a roommate for a 2-room apartment with 2 bathrooms. The ad was obvious. He wanted no social interaction and very little drama. Perfect, I thought. I'm not one to celebrate or plan parties, and I was tired of the chaotic roommate situation I had in college. So I contacted him and moved in within a week. At first, Liam seemed just as he was described in the ad. Gentle, introverted, polite, but aloof. We exchanged necessary courtesies, laid out some ground rules, and generally stayed below us. It worked. I had freedom. He had. For the first 6 months, we lived together peacefully without any interaction apart from the occasional, "How was your day?" But over time things started to change. It started with small moments, commenting on the weather together or joking about terrible TV commercials that we both hated. These small exchanges gradually turned into conversations. We started watching movies together on weekends and at some point it became a routine. He chose action movies and I chose romantic comedies. Sometimes we cooked together, experimented with recipes and laughed at our cooking mistakes. It turned out that Liam wasn't as cold-hearted as I first thought. He'd had a hard time with his previous roommate bringing drama into his life, so he'd built up walls to protect himself. But behind that calm surface he was kind, funny, and incredibly caring. He remembered little things like my favorite kind of tea and the fact that I hated mushrooms. We looked forward to spending evenings together watching movies or just chatting about the day. After about a year of sharing an apartment, I realized something else. I was developing feelings for him. It totally surprised me. I'd moved in thinking he'd just be a roommate, but now I found myself drawn to his shy smile, quiet humor, and the way he went out of his way to make my day just a little better. At first I tried to ignore it. After all, he'd made it clear he wanted a drama-free roommate. My biggest wish was to destroy the good we had. But the feelings didn't go away. If anything, they grew stronger. I began to think about every little interaction. Did the way his eyes landed on me mean anything? Or was I imagining it? Sometimes he would compliment my outfits and I would get excited, but I thought it was just because of his polite nature. I didn't know if he felt the same way and I was too scared to ask. What if he didn't? Would that cause any awkwardness between us? If he says no, can we go back to being roommates? One night I decided to test it out. I bought a big blanket big enough for both of us for movie night. I was probably hoping that she would create some intimacy between us, but Liam didn't seem to get the hint. He sat on one end of the couch and I sat on the other. Sometimes our legs would touch, and that was the longest we were in contact. It was both frustrating and fascinating at the same time. I'm not unattractive and I'm confident in my personality, but I couldn't help but wonder if there was something about me that was holding him back. Perhaps it was the fact that I was a bit taller than him, 1.70 m, he 1.60 m. Did that bother him? Or maybe he just wasn't that interested in me? We talked about our past experiences or lack thereof, and then I decided to go for it. What are you looking for in a partner? I asked, my face heating up as the words left my mouth. I knew I'd given myself away when I saw the way he looked at me, a mix of surprise and something I couldn't quite place. Instead of answering right away, Liam moved closer to me on the couch. Then, to my utter disbelief, he wrapped his arms around me in a hug. You, he said softly. I've been trying to figure out how to tell you, but I didn't want to ruin what we have. I was stunned. For a moment, all I could do was sit there, processing his words. Then I hugged him back, feeling a wave of relief and happiness wash over me. We talked late into the night, sharing our fears and hopes. We both agreed that if things didn't work out, we'd still prioritize our friendship and living arrangement. But for now, we wanted to give it a try. That was 6 months ago. Since then, Liam and I have been navigating this new chapter together. It's been amazing and challenging in equal measure, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. We still have our movie nights, but now we're curled up together under that massive blanket. We still cook together, but now there are playful kisses and stolen glances in the kitchen. And every day, I'm reminded of how lucky I am to have found not just a great roommate, but a best friend and partner all in one. Looking back, I'm glad I took the chance to open up to him. It wasn't easy and I had no idea how it would turn out, but sometimes the risk is worth it. Sometimes, the person you've been looking for is right there, sitting on the opposite end of the couch, just waiting for the right moment to move closer. Thank you so much for listening story to the end. If you enjoy our videos, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Have a good day, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do it and hit the notification bell icon to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.